KZ Merga. Is it another caster at a slightly lower price? You will find it out soon. Physically, the shell and the driver configuration is exactly the same, slightly less chunky and without the switches, and also looks somewhat cheap without a cool faceplate. Except those differences, they are pretty similar from the outside. Sound signature is also pretty close, but there are some areas you need to know about. Though some differences are pretty minimal, they adds up to create the contrast. Let's summarize the differences between the three models. To give a quick idea about the Merga is so close to the cast Harman version when it is in 1100 configuration, but slightly less detailed and slightly less resolute than both the casters. Also a bit lacking in the sub-bass extension than both the versions of casters. So the Merga must mainly compared against the Harman version. The most fun among these three is the cast bass, no doubt about it. Noticeably more low end and more treble energy gives that energetic and more engaging experience as for a V-shaped sound signature. Then the Harman version is my pick if you want an analytical kind of set. More detail with good enough low end to provide a nice and cleaner listening experience. If you want a bass set, Harman version is the one to get. It is definitely satisfying and relaxing to listen to. Also, the Harman version is the most versatile set among these three. It can play a big variety of genres. So, the Merga is somewhat close to a flat sound signature but closer to harmonish and flat. I actually got no major complaints about it as for the asking price. Low end amount is decent, mid range is forward enough, and the treble is non fatiguing. Overall, the Merga provides a really easy to listen to experience with good enough technicalities. Tonality is pretty similar too. They all have a similar flavor in tone, but with different approaches, mainly the cast bass. Personally, I prefer how all these three sounds. It is pretty accurate and somewhat closer to natural, without any noticeable dips or peaks. But the one that sounds more different between the three is the cast bass. Due to its super V-shaped sound signature, it loses some clarity than the other two. Got some shallowness to the overall sound signature, mainly in the mid-range. So the bass version is all about fun and engaging sound, while the other two delivers more accurate and somewhat correct sound. All three doesn't have any shouts, sibilance or harshness. The bass version got a bit more grainy texture at the upper end than the other two though. When the overall package of the Merga is compared with the casters, the Merga feels a bit cheap in both build quality and sound quality wise. Also it lacks the switches. My ratings. Low end, both quality and quantity wise. When the low end is considered, the Merga gets a plus point in one area. It is in the mid bass. The mid bass of the Merga is a bit tighter. Other than that, the Merga falls behind both the versions of casters. Caster bass is definitely the bass heavy one. Then in 1100 configuration, cast Harman just slightly outperforms the Merga as the casters got better sub bass extension. Even the Harman version hits a bit more punchy than the Merga. Merga's low end fades a bit more quicker, so lacks the satisfaction in rumble. Overall, Merga's low end is the least satisfying, but pretty close to the Harman version. Overall, the cast bass easily wins in the low end department, but the Harman version finds the best balance. Mid-range. Cast bass major fallback is in the mid-range. Due to its super V-shaped sound, the mid-range sounds a bit noticeably recessed, and also due to that, bass version lacks somewhat in the mid-range clarity. Other two are pretty close, but I find the Harman version is a bit more forward, detailed and resolute. Both male and female vocals sounds good, mainly on Merga and Harman. All got good enough weight to the male vocals, but the bass version sounds the heaviest. All are non-shouty too. Overall, for the mid-range, I prefer the Harman version. The treble response. Due to the super V-shaped sound signature of the cast bass, it got great amount of treble, but it loses some points due to the lack of clarity. Cast bass treble can sound a bit harsh or textured, which gives some sharpness. It still sounds detailed, but not that accurate, and also can sound piercing at higher volumes. Personally, I need to EQ a bit to tame down the harshness even in 1100 configuration. Second place goes to the Merga as it is somewhat lacking in the resolution. Merga can sound a bit low quality than the other two. For the detail lovers, the Harman version is the one to get. It is well extended, detailed, and also sounds pretty accurate. Not much sharpness or harshness is there. I don't say it is super smooth, still my sensitive ears can notice some sharpness, but less present than the bass version. If you want a treble sensitive one, you won't have any issues. Technicalities. Technicalities wise, they all does a great job. Actually more for the asking price. Harman version is the best overall performer, but the other two performs really well as for their cheap prices. Except the resolution and details, Merga 2 performs really well in technical department. Everything sounds open, spacious enough with good separation, layering and soundstage. Harman version sounds the most open and also it is the most detailed one. All three are great for gaming too, but not my top picks. Among them, Harman version is the one which performs the best for gaming. Caster bass does a great job too, but the bassy sound signature leads to a bit off sound. That amount of bass effects in imaging too. So overall technicalities wise, Harman version is the winner. It is a clear winner, but I must admit that the other two too performs so well for the asking price. Though the Harman version wins here, it still cannot beat the QKZX HVB in gaming. The wrap up. If you are a bass head and looking for a super fun sound instead, the only option here is the cast bass. Then if you aren't a bass head and looking for accurate sound with great amount of details which is so versatile, get the Harman version. Actually, when the Harman version exists, there is no need to get the Merga even it costs less, just about $5 though. Merga both looks and sounds low quality when compared with the casters. So to summarize, my number one recommend in this comparison is the caster Harman. Its value is insane, but avoid it only if you are a bass head. Outro. After almost an year, I still recommend the casters to anyone. Casey definitely found the sweet spot in this budget market. Also, as you got two options, people have choices. Can find the best one for your personal preference. Hope this video is helpful and cleared your doubts about this product. If you like my content, got any questions or recommendations, feel free to drop a comment or show some love with a like. It helps me tremendously to improve both the content quality and faith. See you in the next one. Bye.